Welcome to The Explainer. You know the drill. We take big, complex ideas and break them down so they're easy to get. All right, so today we're diving into something called the Adaptive Project Framework. We'll look at the problem it solves, what it actually is, how it works, why the client is king, and most importantly, when you should even think about using it. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about a huge problem in project management. What do you do when your destination is basically a giant question mark? So picture this. Traditional project management, right? It's all built on this one big idea that you know exactly what you're building and how you're going to do it from the get-go. A nice, neat plan. But let's be real, how often does that actually happen? Especially today. If you're in tech, R&D, or really anything innovative, your strategy is constantly shifting. The path isn't a straight line from A to B. You're literally discovering it as you go, and that is the predictability problem. So if the old map doesn't work, what do you do? Well, you need a totally different way to navigate. You need a framework that's actually built for change. And that's where the Adaptive Project Framework, we'll call it APF, comes in. It's basically a system for projects where you don't know the final answer at the beginning. It's all about learning from what you just did to make better decisions about what to do next. APF really boils down to three key things. First, it loves change. It doesn't run from it. Second, it's all about learning as you go, turning that scary uncertainty into your biggest advantage. And third, and this is a big one, the client is always in the driver's seat. I love this quote from Robert Wasaki, the guy who created APF. He puts it perfectly. It's the difference between being a cook and being a chef. A cook just follows the recipe. But a chef understands the ingredients, tastes as they go, and creates something totally new. That's APF. Okay, so how does this whole learning by doing thing actually work in practice? Well, to get it, we've got to look at where APF came from, which is probably not where you'd expect. Believe it or not, AAPF didn't start in a tech startup. Nope, it started with fish. Back in the 70s, ecologists were trying to manage these super complex, unpredictable fish stocks. They had no idea what would happen. So they created this idea of adaptive management, and it's so powerful that it's still used for massive projects like managing the Everglades. So this framework has two flavors. You've got passive mode, which is pretty straightforward. You learn from what just happened and apply it to the next step. Then there's active mode, where you're more like a scientist. You're intentionally running little experiments to figure out the best way to move forward. And here's what that active cycle looks like. You start with a loose, flexible strategy. But here's the key. You only plan the very next step in detail. You figure out what could go wrong, then you do it, you measure the results, and you learn from it. And only then do you plan the next little step. It's this constant loop. Plan, do, learn, repeat. All right, let's get to what is honestly the most radical part of APF. It's how it completely changes the relationship with the most important person on any project, the client. You know how in most projects, when a client changes their mind, it's a huge headache. We call it scope creep, and we try to stop it. Well, in APF, that's not a bug. It's the main feature. The client has the steering wheel, and they're expected to use it. And this whole idea is baked right into its core values. I mean, look at them. Client-driven literally means they're like a co-project manager. Change is progress. That says it all, right? Changing your mind is how you get to a better result. And don't speculate on the future is huge. It means stop wasting time on stuff that might not even be needed. Okay, this all sounds great, but it brings us to the million-dollar question. When do you actually use this thing? Is it for every project? And the answer is no. It really comes down to this. If you know exactly what you want and how to build it, think like building a house from a blueprint, stick with the traditional way. But if your goal is a bit fuzzy and you have no idea what the final solution will look like, say you're inventing a new app, then APFS is your best friend. So here's the bottom line. APF isn't just about winging it. It's not chaos. It's a structured, disciplined way to deal with uncertainty. It gives you and your client a map for exploring the unknown together. And that brings us back to that first idea. So I'll leave you with this question. Think about your own work. Is your project a recipe you just have to follow, or is it one you need to invent? Are you being asked to be a cook or a chef?